I was always a good kid in school. I remember for most of my first to, let's say, 5th, 6th, and 7th grades, I was a good kid. I got pretty good grades, not the best, and I never really thought I was smart, which is not, it's funny, because I should have seen the signs. But anyways, I was a pretty good kid. I would do my work, I wouldn't be a rebel, I would listen to the teacher, do as I was told, and all the rest. It was only around 7th grade and 8th grade where my grades started going down. And that wasn't because I became a rebel, which would have been kind of cool. It was rather because I was just playing video games, jacking off, so my mental health wasn't great, wasn't going to the gym, didn't get any girls even though there were plenty of girls I was interested in. And so my life just started falling off, my grades started falling off. And I think it was around this time that I also started thinking about business and I think that's when I started one of the YouTube channels with my friend. But my grades were going down. And so much so that, they weren't terrible, but when my mom noticed, she basically said, if you don't get these grades back up, I won't let you play video games, do all the things you want to do, because generally speaking, my mom's pretty lenient, let's say. And so it was at that moment that I decided, okay, well, school, from that point on, the way I saw school, because I started thinking about it consciously, is it's like a gateway that I need to get the keys to unlock to go wherever I want. And those keys being good grades. If I don't get good grades, I'm stuck at the gate and I can't go beyond it to do whatever I want. Go on adventures, talk to people, whatever. Not talk to people, but like at the time I was playing video games. Now it would be gym and all the other things I do. And so I decided to actually get serious, and then I became a good kid again. But it was only recently, as in this past week, when I was sitting in class one day, and my grades are back to 9s and 10s out of 10. So they're back to, they're better than they even were before I became like a bad student. But anyways, now that they're back to good, I was in class and I was thinking how much of a joke the school system and just school in general is. Now, the first reason I thought about that was because I realized there's literally no work to do. This is maybe just specific to my kind of school system because I'm in the European school system. But there is basically zero homework, especially given AI now, because if the teachers are stupid enough to give you homework, you just use AI. And if they know about AI, then they try to avoid giving you homework. You have the occasional test for which you don't even really need to study, because if you pay attention in class, which, by the way, if you want to get better grades, paying attention and participating in class gives you an extra 1 to 2 marks out of 10 just for free without even doing anything. And that was one of the big parts of like my strategy for turning around my grades. But if you pay attention in class, you don't even really need to study for the tests. And so what the fuck do you even do? And I was thinking for most of my, let's say, conscious life, so since I was 13 maybe, I've always had stuff to do on the side. At first it was video games at the start of my conscious life, but then it soon transitioned to going to the gym, starting businesses, self-improvement, and all the rest. But if you don't have that, which is the case for most of the people in my class, what the fuck are you actually supposed to do? You would say, oh, but maybe it's not as easy for everybody because you're smart and so you don't need to study as much and you get very good grades anyway. Maybe, right? Probably, to some extent. But even if that was the case, I could basically work, like in terms of time distribution, I have around 25 hours of classes per week. If you add on 15 hours, you get a full-time job. And even then, you still have 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week being 8 hours a day. Well, for 5 days, so maybe 6 or 7 hours per day for 7 days. What do you do with that time? For most people, I realized, it's just rotting your brain. Not literally brain rot, although that's a big part of it, but just all the what I call dopamine merchants, which are social media, scrolling, video games, porn, all of the just eating and going shopping and doing all this shit with your time, like just bullshit. That's what they fill their time with because they have nothing else to do. Because you go to school, you come back, you study, and either you do study and then you scroll, or you don't want to study, so you scroll and you play video games and you distract yourself from the fact that what you're doing every single day, you know for a fact does not contribute to the job you're going to get later on. You don't even know what the fuck you want to do with your life. You're told you have to go to uni, so you pick the most random degree that seems about right, but you're going to change it after 1 year of uni because you realize that's not what you want to do with your life. So it's obvious you're going to fill your time with any sort of distraction to avoid thinking about the fact that you don't fucking know what you're doing. And that's fine if it wasn't for everybody meaning like parents, the school system, the fucking capitalist system and all this shit, forcing you to make a choice right now because it's the most important and you have to go to uni because if you don't go to uni, then you'll be a bum. I don't know if that made any sense. It was kind of a rant because I just got really passionate about how fucking... It's just my point is, it's obvious that, well, for one, school is a joke. There's no work to do. And so it's obvious that people will fill it with all sorts of distractions because the school system is a joke. Because what you're being taught won't really matter in your future. I mean, you've probably had it at least once in your life, if not once a week or once a month, where you're learning something in math class or in history class or in some class, and the teacher says, oh, this is really important, and you know that if you don't learn it, you're going to get a bad grade on the tests and your fucking exams and stuff. But you just think to yourself, why the fuck do I need to know this? Like, in what world do I need to know this? And then you zoom out a little, not looking at what you're being taught, but how you're being taught, and you realize that this whole thing is just a massive exercise in indoctrination, in thinking and behaving a certain way, because originally, you probably heard this, but the school system was just made to make factory workers, not free thinkers. And it hasn't changed since it was invented in like the 18th century. And then on top of that, you look at some of the people in the class, in my class anyways, who wonder why their life is shit, given they're not actually doing anything. Your life has no other option but to be shit if all you do is scroll, play video games, jack off, and eat bad food. And so for that reason, I'm very grateful that I discovered the beauties of self-improvement right around the time when, I became conscious and things started to matter. So let's say 12 or 13. Because before that, do your actions matter? Yes. But you're still in like the tutorial mode. I mean, a lot of people say you're in tutorial mode till fucking 20, 25. No. Let's say 12 or 13. And that meant that I always had like, let's say, side chicks. So I had self-improvement, I had the gym, I had businesses I was working on. And that meant that for the past 5 years, instead of wasting 6 hours a day doing like random shit, just wasting my time, I've actually developed a good physique, built up my mind, learned about stuff that actually matters, thought about where I want to go with my life and all these things, which might at first not seem like a massive difference between me and my classmates, but I'm just telling you, in the next 5 years, 10 years, the difference is just going to compound. And that's something I talked about in some of my other videos, which you can check out. Anyways, that's my rant. So if you were to take anything away from this, it would just be the school system is a joke. You don't necessarily need to go to uni unless you specifically want to be like a lawyer, engineer, or doctor. Other than that, you don't need to get a fucking business degree. I mean, you search it up, I think it's like 70% of the jobs people get are completely unrelated or don't require their uni degree. And so you think about, well, then why is uni pushed? Because of money and, I don't fucking know, keeping people as kids for longer so they don't think, I don't know, just a few ideas. Yeah, it would be school system is a joke. You don't necessarily need to follow the conventional path, avoid the dopamine merchants, and instead fill your time with meaningful activities like self-improvement, developing yourself, your mind, your body, all of these things. Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that leads to a better life. It's not allowing yourself to be pegged by your overweight, depressed teacher. It's going to the gym and meditating. So that's it. If you don't know me, the mission is to lead the world to enlightenment. You can join the movement, watch other videos on the channel, subscribe. You can check out Instagram for more lifestyle things to see that this actually works. You can check out the podcast for deeper philosophical ideas, like the underpinning ideas, the underlying ideas for all these things I talk about on this channel. And get in touch. I'd be interested to get to know some of you. And yeah, have a nice day. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Mwah.